So before the Q&A starts, the footage in the background is the 2010 Lakers and Celtics. The rosters are not perfect, but it's whatever. Also, I don't think Shaq's tendencies were properly edited because he plays like Lakers Shaq in this. So, onto the video. How old are you? How old are you? How old are you? How old are you? Rusty, how fucking old are you? I thought you were like 38 from your voice, but you said that you went to school. Okay, Jesus Christ. I'm 17, guys. I've heard a few times that I sound older than that. I don't know. I've got a kind of deep voice, so I guess that's what that can be attributed to. So yeah, 17. A few months from 18, actually. Who is your favorite NBA player of all time? Kobe Bryant. Always been a huge fan of Kobe. I know being a Bulls fan and liking Kobe more than Jordan is blasphemy. But I don't know. I don't think that Kobe is better than Jordan, but I find Kobe to be much more fun to watch personally. Who is your biggest inspiration? Well, first of all, there's a funky diabetic. I have always wanted to do YouTube, but I never really had anything that I specifically thought I could do successfully. Then one day I stumbled upon Funky's 2K15 at my GM series with the New York Knicks, and initially, I didn't really think about making videos, but a few years later I started a few My GM series that I ended up deleting because of how bad they were. But Funky is the reason that I started this channel. Mike Korzemba is also a huge inspiration behind my What Ifs, which are the videos on this channel that I am most proud of. And actually, Minilad, the gaming YouTuber, not the basketball YouTuber, is a huge inspiration as well. Not as far as the type of videos that I make, but Craig is a positive and funny guy who is very appreciative of his success and his subscribers, and I'd love to be in his position one day. He has a video on his channel called Motivation that I've watched 1,000 times. When I first started, when I had like 18 subscribers, I thought about quitting, but then I watched that video and pushed on. Then at the start of the summer, when I was uploading daily, I was working hard and not getting any results, and I again thought of quitting. But then I watched that video. Anytime I was on the edge of quitting, I went and watched that video, and those thoughts went away. So if it weren't for Minilad, this 5K special wouldn't be made right now. Part of that motivation video, he said that the day you decide to quit could have been the day you make a video that blows up. And I lived by that all summer, and my channel had not blown up. I went from like 300 subs to 800 throughout that entire summer. But the day before the last day of summer break, I made a video called The Tough Decision That the Cavs Must Make. And that video got 160,000 views in a day, and in about a week I gained 3,000 subscribers. So I am glad that I took that advice. And my parents as well are an inspiration, because when you hear a lot of stories about YouTubers and their parents really don't understand YouTube. They tell them to get a real job or just say that they're wasting their time. But my parents have been really supportive, and that's really nice to have. How did you get the name Rusty Buckets? Well, I was hoping to get this question, so the origin of the name. Well, in middle school, I was in Boy Scouts. Not really because I wanted to be there, but because my friends were in it and I wanted an excuse to hang out with them. It was obvious that I did not care about Scouts because in my 3 years in it, I never gained one single badge, and that is not a joke. So basically, I was on a camping trip, and for whatever reason, I don't know what scout leader picked this place, but the camp was no joke right next to a landfill. It was full of wood and metal pieces and like tires and stuff, so it wasn't like food garbage, so at least it didn't smell bad. But basically, we were playing Manhunt, which is like hide and seek but manlier, of course, and we were playing at night. And I was running around through a patch of grass on the edge of the landfill, and there was a push-down wire fence that I couldn't see in the tall grass. So I ran into that fence, tripped, put my hands out in front of me to break my fall, and my right hand lands on a fucking wooden board with a rusty nail sticking out of it. So the nail goes into my hand, but I was like 12 or 11 maybe. And for whatever reason, I was so much more afraid of getting tetanus from that nail because it was rusty than I was of the actual pain that I had from having a fucking nail in my hand. So I was talking about the rust on the nail the whole time and not the nail. And the next day, after I was patched up and the nail was out of my hand, the scout leaders decided that my new nickname was Rusty, so my friends from that day called me Rusty. Now, fast forward like 5 years, I'm coming up with a YouTube name. I went through a few garbage names at the start, and my favorite NBA player at that time was Jimmy Butler, aka Jimmy Buckets. So I decided to combine my nickname and Jimmy Butler's nickname into one, Rusty Buckets. So that's the origin of the name. Who is your favorite YouTuber and NBA YouTuber? Well, Funky is my favorite NBA YouTuber. Mike Korzemba and Dom2K are close seconds. And my favorite non-NBA YouTuber is Minilad. But second behind him would probably be Nathan Zed if he uploaded more. But since he doesn't, I guess I'd say Game Theory and Film Theory. Do you like video games? If so, what do you like to play? Well, I've never considered myself to be a gamer, because 90% of the time that I play a game, it's one game, and that's 2K. But besides for that, Naughty Dog is life, the Uncharted series is a work of art, and The Last of Us, in my opinion, is the greatest game of all time. I even drew some fire-ass fan art of it, because that's the only serious talent that I have. I was hoping to get a question about that, but I guess not, so here's some of my art anyways, because I feel like being a show-off. Lauri Markkanen looks promising. What do you think of him? Well, I think my Twitter name says all that needs to be said. By the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, you need to fix that shit right now. What is your real name? My real name is Jacob. You guys can call me that if you want. I don't care either way. Where do you live? NBA basketball. Are you trying to stalk me, man? Like, you want to know my name and where I live? I live in North Carolina. If I go missing, you guys know who did it. Can you hoop? If you are good, can you do a 1v1 or some type of basketball IRL? Well, I can play basketball. How good I am is questionable. I used to be pretty damn good, but you know, going from playing basketball in my free time to talking about basketball on the internet in my free time has had an effect on my body. I also got a question that was, what NBA player would you compare your game to? I'd probably say LaMarcus Aldridge because I take a lot of face-up mid-range and post-turnaround shots, and I play no defense. I'm 6'3" when I'm not slouching, so I'm generally the tallest player on the court most of the time, so I make a lot of contested shots over shorter defenders. What type of music do you listen to, and who is your favorite artist? Well, I don't listen to music that is really all that popular these days. I'm a classic, punk, alternative, and hard rock guy. My favorite artist, however, is not a rock star, but a Norwegian singer named Aurora, whose music is so different from what I normally listen to, but her voice is goddamn amazing. And I also have drawn her as well. I've drawn a lot of people. My favorite rock artist would be Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters. Just saw them live in Greensboro 2 weeks ago, and it was probably the best day of my life. Do you follow or play other sports other than basketball? I watch college football. My favorite team is Alabama because I was born in Alabama, and my dad has been a lifelong fan. Roll Tide. How did you become a Bulls fan? Well, there's a good story behind this one. I became a Bulls fan in 2013, so I didn't even get to see the prime Derrick Rose years, which means being a Bulls fan for the past 4 years has been nothing but pain. But you know, it's fine. I became a fan in the 2013 playoffs in the first round. It was the Bulls versus Nets. I had always liked playing basketball, but not watching it before. But I was bored and I decided to watch it with my dad, who's been a Bulls fan since like 83 or something, before Jordan was even drafted. In this game, I started to get into it because Nate Robinson was going off. He ended the game with a floater that was nearly a goddamn 3 that won the game, and since then I've been a huge fan. I spent that entire NBA offseason playing at 2K12, which I borrowed from my friend who already had 2K13, and I learned a lot of players' names and gained my encyclopedia of NBA knowledge. So Nate Robinson is the reason that I am a Bulls fan and the reason I'm obsessed with NBA basketball, and he will always be one of my favorite players ever. What do you use to edit? I've gotten this question before, and it's kind of shocked people because I guess my editing is good? I don't know. I use iMovie, and it works really well. It's not too complicated, but it's also not too basic, so it's a perfect fit for me. What made you want to start YouTube? Boredom, not feeling productive, and wanting to one day have a job that I loved. Any life advice, my man? Well, I'm only 17. I have only had a small sample size of life. I like to be a very self-aware person, being aware of where I am in life and not thinking higher of myself than what I should. So I don't have a lot of experience to give advice on life in general, but one thing I can tell you is this. Do what you love, whether it's a job, some sort of hobby, as long as it isn't hurting you or other people, fuck what anybody else thinks. Do what you love to do. I chose to do YouTube because I wanted to have a job that I knew that I would love. Now I'm not making much money now, so if this doesn't work out, my backup plan is becoming a history teacher. I love history and I think I could teach kids very well, so that's what I'm going to use college to become. I've considered other careers that pay a lot more, but I knew that I would not be as happy in those jobs. So as far as I'm concerned, your own personal happiness is the most valuable currency in the world. I'm doing what makes me happy, and I would suggest that you do the same. And before I end this video, I have a few shout-outs that I want to make. First of all, No Defense. Dude's been a huge supporter of mine for a while, and he has a great NBA channel as well that deserves way more subscribers than what it has. And also Josh Stevo, another supporter. He has an NBA channel that is also very underrated. And one more thing, I'm really confident about where YouTube is taking me. I would bet you anything that one day I will be making a 100K Q&A or a 1 million Q&A, and I will go back, watch this video, and laugh at how bad it is first, but also be reminded of where it all started. So thank you guys for subscribing. Be sure to like the video and cue the outro music.